Hello team, in this video we're going to talk about identity management. So we have seen that end-to-end encryption protects our data while it's in transit over the internet. But what prevents a malicious user from accessing the server like if it was a normal user? For example, the malicious agent might try to access a database and get sensitive information about the user by issuing an HTTPS request. What prevents this is user authentication. Whenever we make a request to a service, we have to authenticate ourselves. Only if we can authenticate and the server knows that we have access to that information, will the server send us the information requested. And the security model we use in this case is the zero trust model, where all users are considered malicious or unauthorized until authenticated. And when the users authenticate, then the servers check that they have permissions to access the information or the service that they want to access. Now, one problem specific to the cloud is that you might have multiple virtual machines and multiple microservices, and using an application might involve sending requests to multiple microservices. So juggling multiple accounts and typing our password everywhere gets annoying very fast. So what we do in this case is identity management. So we give each user one account. We assign this account what privileges or capabilities this user has. So we do this once in a single place. Then we have the single point of authentication called a single sign-on, where users authenticate themselves once and then they can access the rest of the services. So this is more or less what it looks like. A user wants to access email or some groupware software, but before it accesses the email and the groupware software, it signs on to the single sign-on service. So it sends an authentication request, then types its password, and then once it's authenticated, then it gets an authentication token. And this authentication token is what the user will use to access the other services. For example, when the user later goes to download a file from the groupware software, it will make the request and then provide its token to authenticate. The groupware service, before sending the file to the user, will check that the user has a valid token, so that the user is authenticated with the SSO, and whether the user has access for that file. And then if everything is okay, then the groupware service will finally send the file contents back to the user. And this is exactly what we have in our university. So we have one login and we have one password, and we use these everywhere. And the single sign-on has other advantages. One is that if there are other services, we're going to use the same login to all of them. And the administrators have a single location where they create accounts and manage their permissions, which is the single sign-on service. So this makes it easier for the administrators. And it's also easier for users because we have a single account that we use on all of the services. So we don't need to remember many passwords, we just use a single one.